And welcome everyone to another Smart Money Circle episode. I'm Adam Sarhan. With me today is another Adam, Adam Mizel, who's the co-founder and CEO of Us United. He does something very interesting. He's running a nonprofit slash charity that which unites people. It's a great concept. So Adam, thank you so much for taking the time on the show. I think you're the first Adam I've had on the show, so congrats on that as well. And,
All
and
right, we got
uh,
it. That gives us a high bar that we've got to achieve then to make this not disappoint the fellow Adams out there.
I don't think we're going to do that at all. Exact opposite, actually. So Adam, tell us your story, please, and how you got to where you are today.
Sure. The short-ish version. I spent the first 20 years of my life in finance in New York. I was in the private equity world, predominantly also in hedge fund world, managed money. Um, Always an entrepreneur. Helped start firms, build firms. One of the largest firm called Capital Z Partners, and we managed in the late '90s, early 2000s. Over $5 billion, which back then was a lot. Now you're like, that's barely a pimple. And so I managed money for 22 years or so. Then in the 2008-9 financial crisis, I moved from running money to running companies, and I took over and ran a public digital media and entertainment company that I was, in fact, the largest shareholder of in my hedge fund, and have focused on small and micro cap public companies. And so I had this company, it was over levered, needed to be fixed. And I'd always thought about running businesses, and that was sort of the kick in the butt to do that. That moved me to LA, because I was literally getting Christmas cards from United Airlines because I was flying to LA from New York so much. You never want a Christmas card from United Airlines, in my opinion, or any airline. So lived in LA for almost 9 years, ran that company for seven, and then started a business out there with another good friend, that was sort of a marketing and platform on top of Uber and Lyft rides where restaurants and bars could reimburse some or all of the ride if you came to that restaurant and you bought food and drink, and we could measure data through link cards. Wonderful idea. And then this thing called COVID happened. And as one of our investors at the time said, if you had given us an offering document that said a risk factor was every restaurant and bar in America would close, we would have told you to get new lawyers. But that's what happened. And so the company didn't survive. So that fast forwards to May of 2020. For me, George Floyd had been killed, and I was yelling at the I was watching TV, and we were at the time, between the riots and the violence and the protests, between COVID and massive. It was awful, as we can all recall. And I was watching the news, yelling at the television, yelling at every politician who couldn't hear me in the television, and just saying, "This is not the America that I know. This is not the country that I know and I love. What can I do?" And my wife sitting next to me, smarter as always, said, "No one can hear you when you yell at the television. So what are you going to do?" And I really had that epiphany moment where I was like, I am going to change my life and try to change the world. And I said, I can't just make another donation, which is really important. And by the way, I need them, and we'll put that in my plug in later. But I said, if some people with backgrounds like you, Adam, and me don't give our most valuable resource, our commodity, our time, things won't get better. And I said, all right, you know what? I'm going to do that. I don't know what that means. I'm an entrepreneur. I'll go on a path. I'll figure it out. And that's kind of what I did. And it led me to my co-founders, in particular, Sheriff Chris Swanson, who from Genesee County, Michigan. And we met almost 5 years ago in November 2020. And I was inspired by the work he was doing. And I said, you know what? I'm going to write a business plan. I have an idea. And that became Us United, this movement to build unity in America.
Wow, well, a great story. I love that, by the way. And I'm going to go in a million different directions, but I want to stay
Yeah,
focused here. So please tell us about us and what you do and all that fun
right.
stuff.
Absolutely. So basically, I mean, like any good startup, it's been an evolution. And if I pulled out that first business plan, it would look different today. But what we really said is, look, you know what? We need a movement for unity. We need to give Americans the tools we all need to reunite our country. It is not coming from anywhere else. It's certainly not coming from our political leaders. It's certainly not coming through our media. Those are forces for division at the moment. And we have to figure out how to change that. And so a couple of easy insights. First of all, we really looked at it and said, we got to get everybody out of the bubbles that we work, we live, and we social media in. Because we all do that, and that's not bad. It is. And when we're outside of our bubbles, we categorize and we label everything. And that's human nature. Again, none of it bad. But when's the last time you compromised or sympathized with a label? You don't. You have to do it with person.
Yeah, it doesn't have
which
to be.
means you've got to have connection, contact somehow. Now, it can be this, it can be Zoom, it can be phone, it can be in person, but you're not, it's not a label. So we said that we defined that as the problem we had to fix. We looked around and said, is there any, what about brands? First of all, I always say, think of brands for division. And I am sure you've got 5 or 10 in your mind right now. And without even saying anything, I think we can all agree right now the Republican Party and the Democratic Party are brands of division in the country. Where's the brand of unity? Well, it
That's
doesn't exist.
that's exactly.
How are you going to build unity when you're confronted by all kinds of division brands if you don't have a brand of unity? Now you don't have media of unity, storytelling of unity, service and examples of how you can build unity, connectivity. We said that's what we have to build. It doesn't exist. We're creating it. And that's what Us United is. And we do a bunch of things digitally and in real life, and we can talk more about it. But those were the simple insights. And over the last few years, we've built a pretty interesting brand and movement and doing amazing things right now. Culminating, we'll talk more about this on the 13th of December, is the first annual National Unity Day. It's a holiday we created. We got it registered with the National Day calendar, which means every year, second Saturday of December on the National Day calendar is National Unity Day. There's way more we do, but that's a day we can all actually just start there, take a moment. We'll talk about that in a second, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Thank you very much for that. And the overview is fantastic. So before we go any further, websites for people that want to donate and or get involved, where would you like people to go?
Yeah.
I'll have that in the description notes as well, but just want to
For
verbally
sure.
help.
Thank you. Especially because it's Giving Tuesday and it's that time of year. Website is us-united.org. You can follow us on our socials, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, they're all there. If you see purple and white Us United, um, there's our logo. Got a lot of back to brand, right? We have cool baseball caps. We sell them on our website. And the point is, you start seeing that everywhere. That's why I'm in purple. Purple is the color of unity. Red and blue make purple. So I'm the purple guy. That's how, I'm branded on our social media. My children think it's insane, but it makes a difference. And purple's a great color. So one of the things you can do, wear purple.
Yeah, I love it. I didn't know. I'm happy to be wearing pink. If I knew it was purple, great. Breast cancer charity's pink, so why that's why I
There
went
you go.
pink. But by
Yeah.
all means, purple is a great color to take that brand. So I love that. I think it's genius, by the way. So let's talk about in more depth. I know you're getting involved with the NFL, possibly the NBA. Please let people know, the audience know a little bit. Okay, Unity sounds great, high level. Let's make it more concrete. What
Right.
exactly is that?
Sure. Well, let's start with it's a great question. Let's define unity. Um, and first of all, let's start with what it's not. It's not uniformity. It's not unanimity. That would be a really boring country, by the way, and it's certainly not ever going to be realistic. But what is unity? And I'll give you some thoughts. I did a road trip this summer. Part of what we did, I spent 2.5 months driving across America in a purple and white pickup truck with a film crew. And I visited sheriffs because in almost every state, because we've created a sheriff's unity network and thousands of everyday Americans. And we've filmed it and talked to people and really set out to say, what's going on in the country today? And one of the questions I asked everybody is, what does unity mean to you? Because I start with that. Um, and what was interesting is invariably, I got answers no matter where I went, no matter who I talked to, age, race, religion, sexual orientation, geography didn't matter. Some subset of the same 10 or 12 words people use to define unity. Respect, most important, listening, communication, trust, compassion, teamwork, the golden rule, consideration, and on and on. And but the common theme you can see there is we need to respect each other. We need to really listen, not just talk over people. And we need to agree we're on the same team. We're trying to solve some of the same issues, right? And we don't have to be right. And so to me, that's where unity starts. And that's what I heard everywhere across America. And important that I was hearing the same things because you can't fix a problem if you don't define it the same way. And I was pleasantly surprised to hear that people were thinking of it very similarly.
Wow, I love that.
Um,
Okay, thank you for that explanation. Sorry, did you have more?
no, go.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that explanation. Anything else that you want people to know as far as action that can be taken? Let's say somebody's listening, they get moved, they like the unity cause, the mission.
Sure.
Okay.
There's a range. I mean, because you're exactly right. We're very much about how do you make a difference? Because the other thing that I heard over this summer on this road trip was interestingly one, the majority of people don't think we're as divided as presented by politics and media. And even those that do don't want us to be. Um, and what people talked a lot about, a couple things. We need hope. We need inspiration. We don't know what to do. So me showing up in a purple and white pickup truck and was hope, me telling them what, hey, I'm in New Jersey right now, but here's what they said in Texas and in Arkansas and in Indiana. And it's similar. People are like, I don't ever hear those stories. I need to hear that. Thank you. The other thing you heard a lot, and this gets to your question of it's just too big. Like, I'm not the president, I'm not a governor, I'm not a senator, like I'm not on TV. Like, what am I gonna do? And let's start right there. We, the people, this is a democratic republic. We vote. We, the people, are in control. Our government and the division we see reflects the culture that we're allowing to occur. So if you don't like it, do something. And so here's things that you can do through Us United. We have a unity pledge. Whether it's you go to our website or you go on our social media, you can take that unity pledge, you can download pictures and images, you can share them, and you can tell everyone in your social media, I took the unity pledge. Step one. Step two with that is you got to do something beyond just take a pledge. So what we like to say is there's lots of things you could do from at least once a week, post something positive that you've done or you've observed in your community, someone helping another person, someone reaching out, someone building unity, someone wearing purple, right? But just start with that. If every one of us once a week did that, we will change the algorithm.
Yeah.
That will create unity in this country. So don't tell me it's too big. You can change the algorithm, and that's going to be an upcoming sort of call to action campaign we're going to run. We have a different one that is related right now, but change the take the pledge, share you did it, share stories, change the algorithm. Easy thing you can do. We have something called 30 for us every month. It's a Zoom like this. Show up, 30 minutes. We have a topic, a little structure, but you end up in a breakout room of five random Americans with an interesting topic. Well, I just got you out of your bubble. And now you start to see different perspectives, different ideas, different things. Great. That's another thing you can do, right? You can certainly volunteer. We have our holiday giving spectacular for the sixth year on Saturday the 13th, which is National Unity Day. There's all kinds of ways you can volunteer in your community, whether at the holidays or going forward. And by the way, when have you ever seen division and fights break out when people are volunteering and in service together and working together? Doesn't happen. Doesn't
Doesn't.
happen.
Yeah.
And you're making your community better. My favorite thing on the road trip, woman in Birmingham, Alabama, we were talking to said, um, here's my view of unity. She's like, 5 mile rule. If every one of us within 5 miles of our home check on our neighbors, support our community, understand what's going on in our local government a little bit, just participate, be nice to people in our 5 mile radius. If every one of us did that, we built unity in the country. She's like, I don't have to worry about Alabama. Can I be unified with someone in California? If I just worry about my 5 miles, someone else's 5 miles gets to California. And that changes culture. So those are things that you can do. Um, that's easy things anybody could do right now.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, so what you're saying here is there's a great line somebody gave me on the show. I actually said if it's you're overwhelmed, you want to do something, but it's just you're not doing it. You're putting it off, like doing sit-ups. Oh no, to get a six pack, I
okay.
got to do an unbelievable amount of sit-ups. Just break it down to something that's a bite-sized piece. I can do one sit-up. Just go do one sit-up, and that's it. So the
Correct.
5 mile radius, instead of having that guy on TV screaming at TV, which we've all
Yeah.
been that guy. Okay,
Yeah.
let's just do the 5 miles. And if everyone can just do that, that compounds the magic of compounding. Thank you, investing
Yep.
unbelievably magically, and that's it, game over. So I
Yeah.
love that you're able to break it down to the frustrated guy who I'm yelling at the screen, I don't know what to do. Now it's like, okay, there's something tangible I can do. That's a
Correct.
that's a great point.
Correct. I mean, and you hit on it. If you do something small and it feels good and you see some impact, you'll do it again and again, and maybe you'll do something a little bigger. I mean, positive reinforcement, right?
Yeah.
So, yes, if you sit there and say unity in this country seems overwhelming, Okay, yeah, I get that. And you don't all have to run out like me and decide you're gonna turn your life upside down and do all kinds of different things. But little things, that 5 mile rule, that wearing purple, that changing the algorithm. For National Unity Day, we have a very simple idea for everybody: make the call. Almost every American has some family member or friend we're not talking to or talking a lot less to, basically because of politics. That is why. So on Unity Day, make the call. That's your excuse. Pick up the phone, call that aunt, that cousin, that friend from high school, and say, you know what? I miss you. I don't know why we're fighting. We don't have to agree on everything, but why are we not friends because of something? As I say to lots of people, whatever you, whether you think Donald Trump or Kamala Harris or pick whomever else, they don't know who you are. They certainly don't care that you're not talking to that person. So why are you not doing it? It makes no sense. So do that. Share it. Again, back to change the algorithm. Share it on social media. You're going to feel way better, and you've built that bridge back. That's what unity looks like, and that's easy. It's not always easy. I have to. I mean, look, I'm not perfect. I have more than one person. I'm going to be calling on National Unity Day to extend the hand and bend the knee a little bit to say we should be friends again. It's not hard though, right? That's we're humans. We love to be connected. Do that.
Yeah, I love that. That's very powerful. So, by the way, that whole fighting over politics thing in our parlance, it's a negative ROI, is what I tell people. It makes no sense. Like you said,
Right.
Trump doesn't care. They don't know. Biden, all this kind of nonsense. Oh, I got this, I got that. It's just feeding the ego, and who ends up getting
Mhm.
hurt? It doesn't do any to the greater. You're just sitting there
No.
and have all this bottled up negative energy for nothing, and there's no ROI there. So I go the other way as well. So I take it to everything with religion, with whatever it is. It's like, okay, just okay. Someone disagrees with the way you view the world. So what? We can still engage and have the power of relationship is more powerful in my view than anything else. Okay, I love that. So let's shift gears a little bit, Adam, and talk about some timeless advice you've learned along the way. You've run successful businesses, you've managed money, you're doing the charity now full time. What are some timeless lessons you've learned that you'd like to share with the audience?
Geez, a few things. I mean, first of all, whether it's unity or whether it's running a business, you have to start with yourself. I mean, self-care and self-happiness and balance is so important. How are you going to go out there and connect with somebody, whether in the unity sense or whether in the I'm running a business sense, if you're not having some inner peace yourself? So to me, critical that is something, whatever that allows you to do. I mean, for me, um, there's a mixture of exercise and meditation that help me set my day every morning and set myself and keep myself somewhat calm and in line, right? That for sure. I think that's one. I mean, another one is, to me, it's life is about people. Um, and certainly in my 20s and 30s, I might have intellectually known that, but I certainly didn't act and believe upon that. But I think that it really, really is about people. And if you keep that in mind and you show that kindness and that tolerance and that empathy, it is paid back to you in spades. I mean, whether that's someone who works with you, for you, or you work for, or whether that's in the context of what I'm doing now and building a movement for unity, there's incredible scientific data that shows when you go do an act of kindness, the serotonin that's released in your body, plus the person you've offered that kindness to, plus the 3, 5, 10 people watching it, everyone has a serotonin release. Everyone's happiness is raised in that moment. So that positive energy that you're putting in the world is not just for you, it's for many, many people. But that changes the dynamic, right? And I think those are important things that I've been through. And then, I mean, last thing, like this is a strength and a weakness. I'm relentless. I mean, that is, yeah, I mean, there's, when you're running money, if you're good at it, when you're running a company, whatever it is, you tend to be relentless, right? And I am that. I mean, I don't give up very easily. Heck, I'm taking on trying to unify a country for goodness sake. Like, I better be relentless, right? But and I think that's a lesson learned, but I also think there's a balance of that. With maturity, I've also learned you have to pay attention to the signs around you. to know whether you're actually pushing in a direction and in a place you should push. Because if you pushing is really important, but if it doesn't start getting easier, you're pushing the wrong way.
Yeah, that is really
And I think
tough.
that's a really, really important thing because I've wasted I've made many mistakes and wasted much time in my life being stubborn with my relentlessness and not listening to the signs that said, this is not where I should be pushing. Um, and so those are all important things that I would put out there for me.
Yeah, absolutely love it. It's divine timing, or there's a higher power at will, or whatever word you want to use, where it's like, all right,
Mhm.
you can try to go right all day long, but if the universe keeps telling you, hey, it's not working, stop. I mean, just shift and pivot and go left, and you can have
Right.
much more success with that path. So,
Correct.
okay, I love that. Thank you for that. Let's talk about timeless mistakes, the flip side of that. What are some timeless mistakes you've either made, you've learned? How do you learn from them so you don't repeat them? Anywhere you want to go, please.
Sure. Um, the biggest ego. I mean, early in my career, someone someone said, and I've stuck with me, careful how high you jump because then people can see your asshole. Right. And that's ego, right? Which is my biggest mistakes, both professionally and personally, are because of ego and pride. And I've learned to try to put that aside. And look, everyone makes those mistakes. I mean, ego isn't all bad because it is what drives us forward and to do things. But um, I've also learned that I have much greater happiness and much greater success when it's not about me and my ego. Um, and that keeps me out of a lot of trouble. So that's a big one. Another one is, again, as I said before, it really is back to people. The biggest mistakes in my career have been misjudging people, giving my loyalty and or commitment to those that did not deserve it because of how they were really treating me or how they were really approaching whatever situation was. Um, and so being a much better judge of people and character. I think I know that women are better at this than men. And, I learned early on, like I didn't make any big decisions in my career that involved going to work with different people without having my wife be part of meeting those people because her insights were much more thoughtful and incisive than my own. And I've learned from her to be better at it. But women have to do that because, and I have two daughters too. You see it. This is a world. I mean, if you're female in this world, you're still have many, many different risks and much less both physical, emotional safety than any man. And so women are much, much more attuned to the energy and the subtle messages that people are giving off and are much better judges of character because for them it's survival. Um, and I mean, that's a different discussion. We got to change this world because that is unacceptable. But as it comes to, you know, lessons learned and mistakes made, that's where I've made a lot of them. And so you really, really have to judge people carefully.
Yeah, I love that. And then also have that checks and balances with your wife or some other third party that gets you out of
Right.
your own view or perspective of the world and your own egotistical view of the world.
Right.
So I couldn't agree with you more. Let's talk about leadership. You've ran companies, you've run money, you've been running a charity. What lessons have you learned about leadership? What makes a great leader? Anywhere you want to go, please, about leadership.
Sure. Well, first of all, I think they're all the same because I think leadership, the qualities of leadership and the qualities of building and running anything, whether that's a business, whether that's an investment business, an operating business, being an investor and a board director, or building a not for profit, they're all forms of business. So that's first one. So I mean, it's the same thing. My biggest important lesson of leadership is people. It's hiring the best people you can, empowering them, truly empowering them to do their jobs, and being there as a support, not as a criticism. Right? Um, you can criticize in a supportive way. It's a teaching moment, right? You're a teacher, no matter what you're leading and building and running. You're always a teacher, and really that's true. I think in anywhere in your career because I don't almost there's always somebody who's working for you or is being mentored by you or learning from you. And so to me as a leader, if you approach it with that, you build relationships and you empower people to succeed. And that is the most important to me as a leader. And that's, I have lots of friends from almost everywhere I've been professionally, often whether people I work for, people who work for me, because I also felt that was important. I wanted friendships. I mean, you spend huge amounts of your life with at work. I want to like the people and I want friendships out of that. And I think you can still be a boss and a friend. I don't subscribe to the view that that is incorrect. So that's certainly one. I think the other one is all for me, always being innovative and creative and thinking out of the box. My one of my favorite ad campaigns of all time was Apple's Think Different. And as a leader, that's how I approach everything that I'm involved with because I mean, I'm drawn to things that have me trying to figure out new ways and innovate. But I think that's where the greatest success comes from is that new idea or that new approach or that new thought. So innovating. Last one, calm in the storm. You're going to be crisis. There's going to be tough moments. I think the best leaders differentiate themselves. It's a little like sports. When you talk to athletes, they'll tell you when they're in the midst of those critical moments that everything slows down. The game slows down, everything around them slows down. They see it perfectly. As a leader, that's something that I've always been pretty good at and try to cultivate and build that skill more because in that moment of crisis, if you can keep calm and then you can be creative and innovative, you're going to find a path that others don't see out of wherever you are and towards success.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. It's also having that vision so that people you can see what others can't, so to speak, and then share that
Right.
in a humble way. Absolutely love it. All right, final question for you today, Adam. What is the best piece of advice you'd like to give the audience or your 30-year-old self?
Um, be patient. Be patient. And with that, have gratitude and not expectation. If you have gratitude and not expectation, you'll be much happier and you'll be much more satisfied. And so that's an important one. I think 30-year-old Adam was way too insecure, mixed with ego, mixed with impatience, mixed with energy, mixed with I could do, mixed with sharp elbows and arrogance, all these things, and didn't have the moment to be have gratitude um, rather than expectation. And because of that, I got slapped in the head at 32. When I got fired by some partners appropriately in retrospect. Um, I had to learn the hard way, and I don't wish that on anybody.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. That expectation for gratitude formula is absolutely next level, freeing and all that fun stuff. So, all right, beautiful. Adam, thank you again for everything you're
Thanks.
doing for Us United. This was absolutely fantastic. Thank you for taking time coming on the show. Once again, what any closing messages for you want for the audience?
Yeah, look, it's as we said, unity. It is up to we the people. It is not too big. All of us make a difference. Whether you make the call on National Unity Day, whether you change the algorithm by sharing every week what you're seeing and doing that builds unity, engage and do those little things, and then maybe you do more. But even just do those little things. That's one voice is loud, millions are a movement.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Adam. Hopefully we'll have you on again soon.
Thanks, appreciate it.